Tim, you ready? Jen, you good?
Eric?
Call to order the public hearing on township request of amendments, chapters 182, 220, and 245. This hearing is being live streamed for those who wish to attend virtually. The purpose of the hearing, testimony is being taken this evening regarding the request to amend chapters 189, 220, and 245 of the township ordinances and to provide for an effective date. Number one, the township seeks to amend Chapter 189, Property Maintenance Ordinance, Section 189-5, to prohibit vegetation from projecting into public right-of-way and prohibit parking of vehicles on grass areas, walkways, and trails. Number two, the township also seeks to amend several sections within Chapter 220, Subdivision Land Development Ordinance, to provide updates to various definitions, correct grammatical and other miscellaneous errors, update cross-references to other chapters, eliminate inconsistent language, require centralized mailbox areas to include an outdoor canopy or other type of cover or shelter, and to provide for additional restrictions of placing structures within an easement that is to be dedicated to the township. The sections being amended are Article 2 definition, Section 220-2.1, Article 3 plan requirements and processing procedures, Section 220-3.5, and Section 220-3.6, and Article 5 design standards, Section 220-5.2, to correct grammatical errors, Section 225.4, Section 220-5.5, Section 225.10, Section 220-5.13, and Section 220-5.19. Number three, the township also seeks to amend several sections within Chapter 245 zoning ordinance to provide for updates to various definitions, correct grammatical and other miscellaneous errors, update cross-references to other chapters, eliminate inconsistent language, provide for group homes, agricultural use, and animal hospitals to be permitted in certain districts, provide for a limitation that gas stations and fuel pumps cannot be located within 300 feet of any school or school-related building and area, require a minimum stacking lane for restaurants and convenience stores, exclude certain types of uses as permitted home occupations, provide for density limitations and updates for minimum street frontage and lot size requirements for other certain residential uses in the R2 district, update minimum off-street parking requirements for certain residential uses, update buffer requirements, update lighting and other parking area design requirements, update the language and general requirements for driveways and access drives. I guess I'll have staff make any introductions on anything they wish, and then I'll go to commissioners for comments and then have public comment.
This is the draft that the board saw when we authorized advertisement of this ordinance. So if you have specific questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Do any board members have specific comments, questions?
Yeah, I have one. We got an email from Jason Sapoznik about the ordinance 189, and he had questions about washing his car on his property. Can you address those questions, please?
Yes, so Mr. Spoznik was concerned that adding language into Chapter 189 would prohibit someone from washing their car in their drive or in their lawn, which is a requirement with DEP not to allow the runoff to drain into the storm system. So the language that is going into Chapter 189 is already existing language about not being able to park in the grass. That's in our zoning ordinance now. We're simply copying that language into property maintenance for any code enforcement. It's easier to go through property maintenance and citations rather than issuing civil complaints. But in terms of washing a vehicle, it does not preclude someone from washing the vehicle in their lawn. Obviously, that is meant to be a temporary situation where someone is parked in there to wash their car. That is not something that staff would typically issue any citations for. We are looking more at vehicles that have obviously been parked into a grass area that, maybe there is grass growing around the wheelbase. You could tell that it has not been moved. That's the type of citation that we would be looking after. And then if it would, and that's just in your private lawn, but if it was blocking any walkways or trails, then we would seek immediate action. I believe he also referenced, like, if a roofer came to your home and parked in the grass, we're not going to typically go after someone who's trying to do maintenance on their home, knowing that that vehicle is going to be moved probably at the end of the day. But if it was blocking like a trail or a walkway or sidewalk, we would obviously then go to that, particular person and ask them to move their vehicle. We have done that before when trails have been blocked. And that's more just a public safety issue more than anything. So, I did respond to him. I did give him those answers. Hopefully he's satisfied with that. And I offered, if he had further questions, to let me know.
Okay, and that wouldn't preclude us from using a grass area, say at Winding Hill, for overflow parking if we had the fall festival and we couldn't fit everybody in regular parking. If we wanted to park people on the grass temporarily, that's okay too.
Well, I think it's in your parks or park and recreation ordinance about that, but if that is a township function and you're authorizing that, we're not going to go out and cite people for parking in the township's parking grass areas for parking for an event like that.
Okay, thank you.
Bill or Eric? Sure.
I would just say, my basic understanding is kind of clean up language and tying things together and tying us to the property maintenance code. But there was one provision that I had requested and worked with Mr. Castranio on for quite a while now, and that's in section 26E, where we say in the R2 district, the maximum density shall not exceed 6 residential dwelling units per acre of the total land area of the tract or lot to be subdivided or developed, whether initially or cumulatively. Fractions of whole numbers for total units permitted shall be eliminated. And my understanding is that's kind of the corrective language or how we're responding to like the situation. It was at 290 Mill Road where they proposed to tear down a home on 1.7 acres. I think they originally proposed, but there was a lot of angst amongst the neighbors. Yeah. Yeah, it's somewhere in that range. And I think now with this new language, it would be no more than 10, I think, the way I read it.
Well, it'd be 6 units per acre.
And they had 1.75.
Yeah, it would be 10 units.
Okay. So I look at this as an improvement to try to protect the character. So
Phil. All right, I'll open it up to the public. If you're going to make a comment, please come up to the podium. Anybody? Nobody wishes to make a comment, so I guess we're in order to close the hearing. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of closing the hearing, say aye. Aye. 4-0. Closing is, the hearing is closed.